very good afternoon from Terminal 1 of Frankfurt Airport. Join me today on this Lufthansa business class flight to Hong Kong on board an A340-600. After heading through security and passport control, I'm now in the international departures area of Terminal 1. And I'm headed for the Lufthansa lounge near the Z gates. You have access to this lounge if you're flying on any Star Alliance airline in business class or if you have a frequent traveler or senator status as well as Star Alliance Gold. And from the lounge you can already spot my A340-600, which will take me to Hong Kong tonight. The aircraft, which is registered as Delta Alpha India Hotel Yankee, is 15 years old and was delivered to Lufthansa in February of 2009. And due to the strike of the Lufthansa ground staff beginning at 8 p.m. today, there are not many heavies departing this terminal area. The departure time of my flight was also brought forward by 2 hours, so we could still leave Frankfurt unaffected. The lounge features a self-serve drink bar with lots of options. The choice of hot food tonight looks rather unappealing, and I didn't try it. But at least there's Apfelstrudel, which is a classic German and Austrian dessert. So in my opinion the food selection is fine, but it could be greatly improved, especially the hot options. There are many airlines that do it better. This lounge features multiple seating options for dining or relaxing. There are also some small sleeping cabins. There's free Wi-Fi available as well as multiple power outlets. But this place can get pretty packed if there's lots of international departures heading out. But as you can see, my flight is actually the last one leaving Frankfurt in the international departures area tonight, so it's rather quiet. And now it's time to head to the gate, which is just a short walk from the lounge. And as you can see, the airport is rather empty because lots of flights were already cancelled before 8 p.m. But now let's check out the star of the night. The A340-600 is the longest Airbus jet ever built, with a total fuselage length of 75 meters. This airframe was stored during COVID in Spain for 3 years. But they reactivated it and it's flying again since March 2023. And it seems like no one cares about those broken lights in the logo. They should really fix it. Because of the earlier departure time and lots of cancelled flights already before 8 p.m, many people missed this connection. I've never seen a gate area for an international departure this empty. Business class was fully booked though, but economy class was almost empty. This aircraft has 9 rows of business class in a 2-2-2 layout. I'm sitting in seat 7K tonight, which has the best wing view in my opinion. The 8 first class seats up front offer almost no privacy and are really outdated. And this is my seat for the night, located in the last row of the forward business class section, offering no privacy, and you'll always have a neighbor that you have to climb over if you want to leave your seat during the flight. Waiting at each seat was this pillow as well as some slippers and a mattress topper for the night. Normally you would also get a blanket, but the flight attendant somehow forgot to put one on my seat. Then you have the same old amenity kit which you get since 2 years and a bottle of water. The crew then also came around and distributed those sleep shirts. For full pajamas you would have to sit up front in first class. There was a choice of orange juice, champagne or water as a welcome drink distributed by the flight attendant. But now let's check out tonight's menu. You can also choose between 6 main course options ahead of your flight on the Lufthansa website if you want to make sure that you actually get what you want. Otherwise, you can still take a look at the menu card and hope for the best that you still get your option in the last row. And before we push back, let me give you a little seat tour. The armrest is movable, so you have a bit more space while sleeping, and behind that there are some noise-cancelling headphones which are really tiny and barely cover your ears. On the left side you'll have two USB ports which charge your phone extremely slowly. Up here you have the seat controls which are touch sensitive. And below this panel you will find your tray table as well as the IFE remote. And next to the entertainment screen you'll find a coat hook as well as a hook for your glasses. Then you have the small literature pouch as well as a small storage compartment down below. Pushback was 2 hours before our scheduled departure time at 7:50 p.m., just 10 minutes before the ground staff strike would begin.
Damit keine Gegenstände herausnutzen. Laptops und ähnlich schwere Gegenstände müssen zu Start und Landung in Ihrem Handgepäck sicher verstaut werden. Sollte Ihr
You are required by law to follow all signs, placards and instructions.
And as we taxi out to runway 18, you can still spot two 747-8s at the gate.
Dieses Flugzeug ist mit Flynet ausgestattet. Achten Sie auf die Ansage.
And since there were barely any aircraft leaving Frankfurt airport that night, there was no waiting time at all, and we quickly lined up on runway 18. After this dark and rainy takeoff, the crew began the service with handing out hot towels. The amenity kit, which hasn't been changed since 2022, you will get some socks as well as a single-use toothbrush, a mint to freshen up your breath, and some creams as well as headphone covers. Eye shades and earplugs are available in the lavatory if you're fast enough to get some before everyone else takes them. Lufthansa says this is to reduce waste and protect the environment. And since Russian airspace is closed to Lufthansa, we are headed southeast just after takeoff. Lufthansa greatly improved their in-flight entertainment selection, and there are lots of new movies available as well as TV shows and some music. Navigating the IFE is rather difficult though, because you have a tiny touchpad on the remote which is located in the armrest. The screen itself is not touch sensitive. In-flight Wi-Fi will cost you between €5 and €25 for the whole flight. But on many Lufthansa flights the internet connection is not working, which was the case on this flight as well. The crew then came around and distributed those tablecloths. The table is movable so you can get out of your seat while you're eating. Dinner service began with some cold cashews, and I chose the new Lufthansa signature drink, which is called Avionic. The flight attendant didn't know how to mix it though, so he just handed me out the bottle and the can. I went for the pan-fried shrimp appetizer, which came along with a salad and some ginger sauce. Along with the appetizer, a selection of bread was also available. As main course, I pre-ordered the truffle pasta, which arrived almost cold at my seat. The meal also looks like it has been standing around for a couple of hours and then just been thrown into the oven. I asked the flight attendant to reheat my meal and he said there's no time for that. And to finish off this glorious Lufthansa meal, I went for the mascarpone with vanilla mousse. The raspberry sauce was all over the place and the plate was really sticky. And before the cabin crew disappeared for the next 8 hours, they distributed these chocolate truffles. Let me show you around the lavatory. There are additional amenities available for about 6 passengers, so if you're fast enough, you might even get a mouthwash. There's also this window looking out onto the wing, and the lavatory was already filthy when we boarded the plane. And now it's time for some sleep. The mattress topper is a great improvement, but the seat is still really narrow in the lie-flat position. I'm 185 centimeters tall and my feet barely have any space to move if I'm lying down. But at least I managed to find a blanket in the overhead bin. We now only have 8 hours left in flight, because there was only a single flight attendant in each aisle serving 15 passengers, and the meal service took over 3 hours. About 90 minutes before landing, I was woken up with a hot towel by the flight attendant. I slept for about 6 hours despite the bad seat. But now I can show you the lavatory in all its glory, especially with this great wing view. I went for the sweet breakfast option consisting of Carthusian dumplings with vanilla sauce and some yogurt. And even though I've been living in Germany for a long time now, I've never heard of this dish as a breakfast. And after another 10 minutes, the flight attendant came around with some bread rolls and croissants accompanied with some jam and chocolate cream. In my opinion, this second meal is a joke for an 11-hour flight. I also never got asked if I wanted any tea or coffee. And once again, there was only a single flight attendant in each aisle serving breakfast for the whole business class cabin. This resulted in many people not getting any drink at all for the second meal. But now let's enjoy the Chinese landscape passing down below before we start our descent into Hong Kong. And if you haven't already done so, go check out my Instagram page where I post live stories of my travels as well as aviation content. The approach into Hong Kong is rather interesting, taking you right above Macau, but sadly it's a rather cloudy afternoon today, so there's not much to see. And now we're turning onto the ILS for runway 07 left, which was opened in 2022, built on an artificial island extension into the bay. And now you can also spot the Hong Kong-Macau Bridge, which is the longest bridge over open water.
freigeschaltet worden.
We touched down after a flight time of 10 hours and 58 minutes, exactly 2 hours and 14 minutes ahead of schedule at 2 p.m.
And when we have reached our final parking position in a moment,
And we're now taxiing past the construction site of Terminal 2, which will open in a few years. Hong Kong is also a big cargo hub with lots of 747 freighters. This was easily one of my worst Lufthansa business class flights ever. Serving 15 passengers with a single flight attendant just resulted in total chaos. And even though I pre-ordered my main course for the dinner, the whole catering was just a disappointment, and I actually left the plane hungry after this tiny breakfast. But since the A340-600 is my favorite aircraft and this is the longest route that Lufthansa currently offers with the type, I simply had to book this ticket. Even though I know the experience is definitely not worth it. But since these quad jets won't be around for much longer, I have to take every chance I get to fly on them. But I definitely wouldn't recommend to buy a Lufthansa business class ticket on this flight. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and as always, see you in the sky.